It's 6 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting of the Mayor and Board to order. And the first order of business is to have Tyler Waring from the local Boy Scout troop come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If y'all would stand with me.
Everyone face the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll give you one of these. Thank you for being here doing that.
Good job.
Alderman Miller, would you lead us in the invocation?
Thank you. Heavenly Father, Lord, we come, Lord, we thank you for the day. We thank you, Lord, for all your many different blessings. Ask you, Lord, that you continue, Lord, to bless our souls where they might be. We're just so thankful, Lord, for this city that we allowed us to live in, this county, this state, and this nation. Dear Heavenly Father, we go through the business of this city. We pray, Lord, that what we do will be pleasing in our sight. We thank you and give you all the praise and glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the amended agenda in front of us here. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Alderman Miller, did you have something you wanted to share?
Yeah, I'd like a public service announcement that I have qualified to run for the second vice of the Mississippi Municipal League. And if I win that in 2 years, I will be the president of the Mississippi Municipal League. And I think with that, with allowing that to happen, we can see a lot of things that will come forward for the benefit of not only this city, but for the whole state. So what we do is solicit your prayers as we go forward on this journey. And our mayor is one of the former president of that organization. And it's a organization that right now we have over 300 and some cities, towns, and villages that's part of the organization. So we just ask for your prayers as we go forward in this endeavor. Thank you, Mayor.
Andrew, thank you for putting yourself out there and running. We are wishing you great luck, and of course, the city of Hernando will be casting their vote for you. I don't think that's a secret.
I hope so.
Alderman Wicker, did you want to say something?
Yeah, so y'all may be wondering why we're sitting here wearing T-shirts. That's not typical attire. We are doing that supporting of our Hernando's Farmers Market. This started in April and it runs to the fall time. So we would encourage our citizens to come check that out every Saturday. I think it was 8 to 12, is that correct?
8 to 1.
8 to 1. Fresh food is probably the best farmers market in the state that I've seen. So I just encourage people to come and explain why we're wearing T-shirts. So,
Thank you for that. Item 5 is to approve the docket of claim numbers listed on your agenda. Could I have a motion on that?
So move.
second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 6 is to approve the minutes from the regular Mayor and Board of Aldermen meeting of May 5th. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Was everybody here for that meeting?
Yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no, and that motion passes. Item 7 is the consent agenda. Can I have a motion on that?
Motion to approve. Second.
The motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 8 is the personnel docket. Is there a motion on that?
Motion.
Second.
It's a motion and a second on the personnel docket. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 9 is the donations docket. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on the donations docket. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 10 is the approval of change order number 3 on Renaissance Park Phase 2 sports fields for a total of $10,816.73 to provide for the necessary adjustments to the 8 total size adjustments to the dugout covers for the 4 fields, which is 8 total covers and 2 different sizes per field. Was Cameron going to come up and speak to that? Yes. Or Jared, or both? And Cameron's with Kimley Horn, of course.
Yes, it's been a minute. So yeah, to kind of explain the change order at hand, this is change order number 3 for Phase 2. It's the first design change order on the project, and it's for the adjustment of the sizing of the dugout covers. So the dugout covers are designed correctly in the plans and detailed in the plans, but the manufacturer's cut sheet is about 6 inches short, the actual roof that covers the dugout. That's also in the plans, so there's a little bit of a conflicting design direction. The contractor gets their pricing direct from the manufacturer of the dugout structure. Because that error is on their drawing, there was a miss in the price. And so this change order is to right-size the cost of the project to account for the dugouts as originally designed. And so 8 dugouts, 6 inches on all sides for proper coverage during rain and shade, and to align with the front of the seat walls that surround the dugout and not look like a design afterthought. So a smaller change order per dugout, but when you have 8 dugouts, it adds up to $10,000.
Y'all have questions for him on this item?
The only question I have, it says here that that's going to change I guess, the construction time by 5 days. Is that what they already kind of expecting putting these in anyway?
Yeah, typically that's from if they are scheduled to put them in and are delayed because they can't do so or because they had to reorder. We caught the change before the dugout roofs were manufactured, so in essence kind of limiting the potential size of the change order. We have an approved final schedule for the project, and those 5 days are not included in that. So there's always a little bit of back and forth, making sure these forms line up with previous forms and the correct amounts. I don't think that 5 days is going to be incorporated into the schedule.
Any other questions? If not, is there a motion on the item?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
No.
And that motion passes.
Thank you.
Item 11 is the proclamation for the National Garden Week, June 7th through 13th, 2026. I am going to read it and invite them up here, but if somebody would make a motion to approve that proclamation.
I'll move to approve this proclamation.
That's not a surprise. Is there a
Second.
second? Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. And I am going to read the proclamation and then invite y'all up to receive it. This is the City of Hernando Proclamation for National Garden Week 2026. Whereas gardeners have a passion for nurturing the beauty and resources of the earth through the planting of seeds, the care of all plants, and the riches of their efforts. And whereas gardeners seek to add beauty, splendor, fragrance, and nutrition to our lives through the growing of herbs, vegetables, foliage, and flowers. And whereas gardeners work to preserve our country's traditional spirit of independence and initiative through innovation and hard work. And whereas gardeners advocate the importance of all creatures, large and small, that share our world and their roles in a balanced and productive ecology. And whereas gardening furnishes a challenging and productive activity for our citizens, for those just learning as well as those having years of experience. And whereas gardening promotes a healthy lifestyle that lasts a lifetime, helps reduce stress from other areas of our life, teaches that rewards can come from diligent efforts. And whereas gardening enables members of garden clubs across the nation and the world to make a world of difference in the communities where they reside and work. Whereas the Hernando Civic Garden Club has faithfully contributed to the beauty, education, civic pride, and environmental stewardship of the City of Hernando through its service, projects, and dedication to our community. Now therefore, I, Chip Johnson, Mayor of the City of Hernando, in an effort to acknowledge the importance of gardening and the numerous contributions of Gardeners National Garden Clubs Incorporated, do hereby proclaim the week of June 7th through 13th, 2026 as National Garden Week. Would y'all like to come up? Thank y'all very much. Here you go. Good to see you. Would you get a picture of us, Nestor? In our fancy attire.
It's a farmer's market. T-shirts might actually be fitting.
It is fitting for today, for sure. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all for all you do and all the beautification efforts that we see around town. Item 12 is the approval of the resolution for a donation to Kudzu Playhouse in the amount of $1,000. And the clerk had laid a sheet of paper out there that kind of shows the donations we've already made and the balance of monies we have available. And so we're recommending the
That's
approval of
$1,000
this.
for this year, correct?
For this year, yes. There's no questions. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the donation to Kudzu Playhouse.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And that motion passes. Item 13 goes along with what Alderman Miller had spoken about earlier, is to adopt a resolution appointing me as the Mississippi Municipal League 2026 voting delegate and Alderman Miller as alternate for the city of Hernando. It's just a formality we need to do so that we have a voting delegate and an alternate to cast our vote in the second VP race that'll be at the convention this year.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no, and that motion passes. Item 14 is the approval of the Community Development Block Grant Compliance Resolutions, and there are 9 of them. If y'all remember, this is the project that will be adding ADA parking and other ADA upgrades to the Gale Center. And Darrell, if you would kind of go through these with us quickly, we'd appreciate it.
I'm Darrell Dixon again with North Delta Planning Development District. We're project administrators for state and federal funding assistance. And so I have for you the Community Development Block Grant. These body of about 9 resolutions are for compliance with laws and regulations that go along with the Community Development Block Grant Program. And I'll just quickly give you an overview of these 9 items. The first 2 are related. Relate to Section 3 of the law that creates this funding stream, Community Development Block Grant Program, says that to the greatest extent feasible that any hiring that happens because of these federal funds usage should benefit folks in the local area that the funds were awarded to. So the first item, the action plan, says that if there's any hiring required, the city will advertise that locally and to the greatest extent feasible make sure that that hiring happens from the local area. The second is a resolution that certifies your compliance with that. Also make sure that you require the same of any contractors you hire with those funds. The next item is called the Basic 504 requirement that says the city doesn't discriminate on the basis of disability and that any improvements made with these funds would also make sure that that's the case. And of course, as the mayor mentioned, the project does further your ability to do that. The next item is a resolution regarding minority-owned business and women-owned business enterprises. In order to participate in this program, the state of Mississippi has to adopt goals for participation by those firms. And so this resolution says that you adopt on the state's goals, which are 10% participation goal by minority business enterprises and 5% participation for women-owned business enterprises. The next document is the National Objectives Resolution, which states that the city understands that the national objective of the Community Development Block Grant is to benefit 51% or more low to moderate income households, and that you'll use the funds in that way. The next item is a maintenance resolution to say that any improvements that are made with the fund, the city commits to maintaining those for 10 years. The next item is matching funds resolution, because of the population of the city of Hernando has to compete for these funds in the regular government category, which means that you have to provide some match in order to compete in that category. The city, this resolution says the city agrees to match funds 60% on this $750,000 project. The next document is a Code of Standard of Conduct resolution that simply states that no employee, officer, agent, or any member of their immediate family will financially benefit from this project and the federal funds that will be used for it. The next item is the Housing and Urban Development Program Guidelines, which speak to the city's compliance with state and local laws, financial systems and record keeping, retention of records, the federal government's right to audit, conflict of interest, and equal employment opportunity policies for the city's compliance. And so with that, those are the compliance resolutions that you all have to certify in order to compete with the funds. And so we're working with your staff as well as your procured firm for professional services to make sure that we can submit an application by Friday of next week, May 29th.
Does all that seem to be going on schedule?
Yes, we've got a finalized draft of your application. Your director for that project, Jared, has provided us plenty of great documentation showing the need for the project and the improvements to the building. So we suspect that the application will be very competitive when submitted.
And when will we hear if we've won, most likely?
Mississippi Development Authority usually makes those awards in the fall. There are times when they lag behind in the announcement, but we'd look for about November to find out a good indication of whether it'll be funded. Mississippi Development Authority staff would reach out to the city for a site visit to come and see the facility or ask questions to verify the information that's in the application.
Okay, so this definitely would not be money we would need to budget in the current budget year. It would fall
No,
under
it'd be
next budget
next. Yes, that's right.
year. Does the board have any questions for Daryl? If not, is there a motion?
Second.
There is a motion and there's a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Dixon, thank you for all your help and management of this and all that's going to come in the future as we get the grant.
Thank you.
Item 15 is the approval for change order number 2 of $306,655.48 for downtown sanitary sewer rehab, which is ARPA Project 498 from Gulf Coast Underground. This amount is budgeted between the ARPA and MCWI project funds. Yes, you were going to come speak on it. This is not an increase in funds. We had a set amount budgeted for the downtown sewer rehab. We used part of that money to scope it out and figure out what was wrong. And then we've used the rest of that money to actually fix some of the things. And that's been kind of fluid, and he's going to explain how that changes for this change order.
Yeah, so this money's been allocated for a while since the ARPA program started, went through application process, and then it evolved and changed. And if any of you have tracked ARPA, it constantly changes, and it's still changing today. But in total, there were $1.559 million in construction funds for this job. This was a find and fix job, so the value that was contracted originally was just based on estimated values to set up pricing. So after they did all the inspection work, we got together with Public Works, the contractor. We prioritized that work with a not to exceed value of the 1.559. In total, we got to 1.552, so within 7,000 of the total without going over. That was as close as we could get comfortably without going over the funds. And again, this was 100% funded, grant funded. City didn't come out of pocket on this at all. It's my understanding that 7,000 will probably go back to the state at some point. But like I said, that was as close as we could possibly get without going over, being comfortable. So this is more or less just tidying up that contract. It's the state's belief that if these ever got audited, you want to create the best paper trail you can. So this just tidies up this contract.
Yeah, the state requirements are, in my mind, harder than the federal requirements.
Yeah, like I said, they're just, I think the state thinks that they might get audited, not each individual city, and they're trying to create their own paper trail. So things like this, this tidies up this contract and shows that the total value was used. Everything that was allocated was used, so.
Y'all have any questions on that?
Well, so even though it appears that we're spending more money, we're not spending more money.
You're not spending more money, yeah.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
And I'll just add, just so you're aware, if
All opposed,
anybody ever
no.
wants to, yeah.
All right, it passes.
If anybody ever wants to see any of this, a lot of this stuff's out of sight, out of mind. And so when you see the problems firsthand, it makes a big difference. But all in all, we videoed and cleaned 24,000 feet of sewer. We lined 19,000 feet of sewer, completely replaced 900 feet that was in such bad shape. And then just several miscellaneous point repairs. We lined some manholes, put in some new manholes, things of that nature. But I think I'm going to try to compile just some before and after photos for anybody that's interested. Just
Thank you.
Yeah.
On MLK Drive, in the 2600 block, right in front of the Beecham Chapter Church, where it was sinking, and the crew that worked there, they came back, and all they did was just put another overlay in there. 2 weeks later, it's sinking again so they need to dig down to find out why the sink is still occurring. It done dropped at least 5 inches.
Well, we are still holding retainage. We're at substantial completion, but we're holding retainage until that is one item they have not satisfied.
Yeah,
I just talked to the contractor today about that. They were supposed to get with Public Works again.
And what we really need them to do is dig it up.
We need them to dig out.
Okay,
Yep.
and they were supposed to go out and check each one of these again, but I don't think that was the only one they had problems with. So,
It's good to know we still got retainage and you're on top of that with Chris.
we're still sitting on, I think, $77,000 of retainage, and we're holding on to that until they satisfy those final items.
Alderman Miller, thank you for bringing that up in public
Yeah.
meeting.
Thank you.
All right. So that item has passed. Thank you very much. Item 16, Joe Frank, if you would come up, it's the approval to release the bond for Winningham Section G.
Okay, developer has asked to release his maintenance bond he had up on Section G. Section G has 2 lots and a cove, so it's not a real big area. But we've checked it out and believe it's time to release his maintenance bond.
Are there any questions on that? Is there anyone here to speak on that topic? Okay, if not, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 17 is the approval to reduce the maintenance bond from $30,000 to $15,000 on Winningham Section F.
Okay, so we are going to change from a construction bond to a maintenance bond. That'll last for 1 year. There's several things that need to be taken a look at and repaired, but that will go on for 1 year till he gets everything in compliance.
And you're fully confident that $15,000 will cover that?
Yes.
Is this going to cover some of the lighting on the mailbox area up there? I think some of the neighbors are upset.
I think it does. I've got a list of everything.
And I think Scott has been working with them on that lighting as well.
Ben's not here, but he's had some people talk to him about the lighting area.
Yeah, and I heard Scott on the phone talking to Energy about that. So we'll make sure of that, though, Joe, if you'll help us with that.
Okay.
There are no more questions? Is there, oh, go ahead.
It's part of, on Nesbitt Road, like what do you call it, the little entering and exit side, it's like there needs like a final layer of asphalt there. I know that maybe that was missed in way earlier phases, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about? Like where it comes, the entrances to the neighborhood,
on Nesbit Road where
It
it didn't
just
get the
seems
second
like-
layer.
Nesbit, where we widened the road, where the developer widened the road.
Yes.
Oh, that was in that first bond
Okay.
that they gave up their bond, and there was just enough money in there to finish the roads in the subdivision. So,
That was
So
back
maybe-
in 2010 or so, wasn't it?
yeah, that was during that 2008 period that had the kind of recession.
For the current developer.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
so. I was thinking it was pretty old. Okay, well, that's something that we probably need to look at.
Yeah, we are, and just so you know, the county is about to use state funds or county, what do they call those county?
State
road-
aid.
State aid funds to do that road.
Okay.
Right now, they're saying they can't use those funds on our portion because it wasn't built to standard. But I will say that the county road manager, Mr. Jarman, is arguing with them and hasn't given up yet.
Okay.
But if they can't, I'll probably be coming to y'all to ask see if we can tag on to that
While
and
they're
do the
doing it.
paving at the same time to save money and get it right.
Okay, that'd be good.
Anything else? Okay, if not, is there a motion on item 17?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion passes. Item 18 is PL 1966, second revision of Gateway subdivision, a request for final plat approval of 3 lots on 8.35 acres. The subject property is located on the east side of Mackinville Road, south of Thousand Oaks Drive, and the property is zoned C2, and the Reeves firm is representing the owner.
This is PL 1966. The request is a final plat for the second revision of the Gateway subdivision. This is for a fast food restaurant immediately south, adjacent to the Gateway Tire at the corner of Mackinville and Thousand Oaks. The property is zoned C2, and so the bulk requirements of the setbacks you see in your staff report are met on that staff report, plat that's in your staff report there. The first revision to this was approved in April of 2021. That created 2 lots on this 8.35 acre parcel. This tonight will do 1 additional lot. We did include the standard subdivision criteria that we typically approve in our plats with 1 addition. If you look on the plat, you'll see a shaded area, one which reflects the existing curb cut on Mackinville at the Gateway property, and another just south of the lot being created tonight. The goal of that is to eliminate an additional curb cut for the property to develop to the south. And so one of the conditions of the staff report I've recommended is that the shaded area be the only 2 access points to Mackinville Road for future development, and they've offset the curb cut to account for that. And so the two points you see in the shaded area would be an ingress-egress easement for those 3 lots to share. I do expect future subdivisions to come out of this larger parcel, but that shaded area will limit the access points to just the 2 you see on the plat. The rest of the items on the proposed motion are standard subdivision criteria. There's already a sidewalk, and road has been improved along the frontage, so no letter of credit is expected. And we did receive a certificate of development for the property today, and so they are moving forward with construction of the restaurant. The Reeves firm is representing this application for the owner, and I'm available if you got any questions.
Are there any questions?
Make a motion.
None? There's a motion.
Motion to grant final plat approval for the second revision to Gateway subdivision, 3 lots on 8.35 acres east of Mackinville Road and south of Thousand Oaks, based upon the finding that the submitted final plat generally conform to the requirements of the city codes and ordinance, subject to the following condition 1 through 11.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 19 is the appeal of the decision of the Planning Commission for the denial of PL 1964, a request for a conditional use permit for a liquor store in the C2 zone at 1500 Highway 51. The subject property is located on the south side of North Parkway, east of Highway 51. Davender Gale, representing the owner of the property.
Yes, sir. This is PL 1964. Vance Daly's here tonight representing the owner for this application. The request is for a conditional use permit for a liquor store at 1500 Highway 51 South. The property is zoned C2 and is Lot 1 of the third revision of Sauché Point Commercial Subdivision. There is a convenience store on the lot currently. This liquor store is proposed to go in the northernmost tenant bay of that building. Previously, the state law and the Alcohol Beverage Commission controlled all locations for liquor stores, and so we were kind of out of the game of where these went. All the time, our ordinance did require a conditional use for a liquor store, and so we were superseded by the state law, but the law has since changed, and so it's given local jurisdiction back to regulation of where liquor stores can locate. So our zoning ordinance is back valid. And so the request was made to the Planning Commission to locate within the C2 zone at 1500 Highway 51, and it was unanimously denied at the last Planning Commission meeting. So this is a conditional use, and so in the discussion portion of the staff report, I've listed the approval or denial criteria, and I'll just read those for the record. It's explained how this proposed use will not substantially increase traffic hazards or congestion, how this proposed use will not substantially increase fire hazards, how the proposed use will not adversely affect the character of the neighborhood, how the proposed use will not adversely affect the general welfare of the city, and how the proposed use will not overtax public utilities or community facilities, and the final item of the conformance with the recommendations of the city's general development plan. And the applicant did provide responses to each of those. And as I mentioned, this was heard by the Planning Commission at the April 14th meeting. And I did give you a copy of those minutes in your staff report for the full discussion of what happened, but they did unanimously recommend denial. For the hearing tonight, we did renotice this hearing in the paper, and we did send out cards to everybody within 500 feet, just to invite them to hearing if they've got any voice for or against. And I did provide proposed motions in your staff report to approve, deny, or table the item. And there's vicinity maps to give you an idea of what's in the area. This is the northernmost commercially zoned parcel at the corner of North Parkway and Highway 51, as you can see in the zoning map. And I did provide a larger aerial map to give you a general idea of where this is at in the city. Mr. Vance Daly's here tonight, the attorney representing the application, and I'm available if you've got any questions.
Are there any questions for Austin before Mr. Daly comes up? If not, Mr. Daly?
Good evening, everybody. Vance Daly on behalf of the owner here. I don't want to bore everybody. Y'all have all the information in front of you. But to try to address what I guess were some concerns at the commission, which I was not there, but I watched that meeting and I guess addressed some of the concerns. One of them is Hernando has too many liquor stores already. I can't remember what we decided, either 5 or 6 or maybe already in Hernando. I guess it depends if you're going through the ABC's version or if we're including the one at the is that the Nesbitt exit, the North Hernando exit, the one up there. If that's,
Yeah, that's in the city limits as well. Yes.
Okay, in the city limits, so that counts as well. I guess my general premise to that is business itself will determine whether or not we have too many liquor stores in town, right? We could go into Mexican restaurants or vape stores or all these different things, right? Business, the amount of business you have will determine whether or not you have too many in town. So whether you land on that, you can land on that one. There was another one about changing the character of the neighborhood, the location of it being backed up to, I can't even remember the name of that neighborhood, but the gas station that's on that piece of property on that corner, it backs up to a neighborhood. We are in a somewhat different scenario just because prior to, as Austin said, ABC regulated where it went, and I don't know what that process was as to where they got approval to come into town, and if Hernando literally had no say in where that went. But there are, I guess the liquor store at the roundabout on 51 in Oak Grove, that one's, it's not at the gas station, but it's in a connecting parking lot, I guess, with a gas station, right? So it's not of a new surprise that a liquor store may come along in with a gas station. There was discussion, again, I don't remember if the Planning Commission or some of our other meetings, the liquor store across from Sonic. It's a part of that gas station right there, and I'm not sure the name of that one as well. That one, too, part of a gas station. So it's no surprise as to changing the character of the neighborhood if we're getting into the residential side of things behind it. The liquor store that is currently in existence at the roundabout on 51, I'm mind just went blank. What's the name of that road right there? Oak Grove. That's a residential road going back there with houses behind that liquor store. It is right next to our city park where we invite all of our children. That liquor store is not a hazard to any of those things. The liquor store that is, the other liquor store that's in the strip center, if I'm saying that correctly, at Kroger, in the Kroger parking lot, if y'all know where I'm talking about. I can't remember the name of that one. That one, it's not attached to a gas station, same parking lot as the Kroger gas store, and that one literally backs up to a residential neighborhood, because right behind that strip center on Mount Pleasant is a whole nother neighborhood that has not, I don't know how long it's been there, has not created a danger, has not changed the character of that neighborhood or the existence around it. Right now, currently, on the bay where this liquor store is hoping to go, is a vape store sign. I don't know what approval process had to be taking place at that point, but there was a vape store that's going in there. Right now, if you pull up in the parking lot of that gas station, it looks like there is a vape store there because there's a big, bold, lit-up vape store sign. Land where you want, most people I've talked to over this will go, I'd much rather have a liquor store than a vape store, right? So if we're changing the character to the public opinions that I've gotten anyway, I'm not bringing lists and calling anybody to testify, but it was even mentioned at the planning commission, hey, we'd rather have a liquor store than a vape store. It is not changing that character. A liquor store is permitted within a C2 regulation. Hernando, granted, this is Highway 51, right? I mean, it is a commercial thoroughfare road, right? We allowed this a convenience store. I may be misapplying or saying the words inappropriately. A convenience store, it's a big parking lot. It's right there. We approved that going in. We approved that to be commercial. We wrote within our C2 regulations a liquor store being allowed. And so from the 6 guiding criteria, again, I don't want to bore everybody with going through those. They're in there. It's my opinion we meet all of those, right? I mean, just from the standpoint of it's not creating substantial traffic increase, right? This is a minimal traffic coming to a liquor store. And again, it's Highway 51. There's already a gas station there, which is selling beer on site already. Not increasing fire hazards. All this has been permitted. The bay's already built out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the convenience store's been built. The bays are there. So all of these building issues and hazards and those things are already addressed. At the end of the day, understand what we're here for. It's a liquor store. It can carry a ugly stigma with it. It's a matter of whether or not we want that there. I do think we meet the approval of the criteria of the special use permit. And so I don't think it would change the character of the neighborhood. People can feel, and I'm guessing everybody in the room that's left may be here to talk about this, but at the end of the day, Hernando did not approve because of the ABC and how it came in. But we have multiple liquor stores that are backed up to residential neighborhoods and a part of, that may be a stretch, very closely located to gas stations. And even not to mention the liquor store at the gas station across from Sonic. I mean, that property backs up to a children's clinic. And is that a YMCA back there now? What used to be Keiko's? At one time they were coming. I don't remember what's in the Keiko's building now. But whatever that is now, right? That children's facility backs up the same property. And so Hernando has proven that a liquor store is not changing the character of a neighborhood or creating any substantial harm to the surrounding environment. And so we're here for approval to put it in. The owner is here to address any questions. Again, this goes to a special use permit from a sign regulation, what it's going to look like. They will gladly sit down and do whatever to meet the comfort of anybody. It's not going to be some eyesore, type liquor store. Outside of seeing a sign on the outside, you would know what's there going up and down 51. So, again, we'll address questions. They're here to address any detailed questions as to what it may look like. But
okay. While Mr. Daly's up there, does anybody have questions from the board?
Mr. Dale, you do agree that a liquor store has a negative connotation for a town?
Oh, yes. I mean, that's what I was going to say. It carries with it a stigma. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I understand what we're here asking for, and we've talked about this.
And also, this is the first time that we've had the chance to actually vote on a liquor store since I've been on the board for 5 years. We were kind of, like he said, handcuffed, or we couldn't. And some of the examples you listed were put in place without our approval. They wouldn't be that. They would not be there if we had a chance to vote on it. Just to be frank with you.
Again, I'm with you. That's the nuance where we are at this point. Like Austin said, ABC controlled that, and I guess we as a city had no say on them even having to come for that approval. So yes, I absolutely understand that.
Any other questions from the board? If not, is there anyone here to speak on this topic? Is there anyone here to speak for or against the liquor store? Okay. Hearing none. Mr. Daly, did you have anything else to say? You are the owners.
Well, again, to address, and I kind of let it go. Theoretically, there's a stigma that runs. However, I would again pitch that Hernando has proven that it does not. I don't know that anybody's argued the property values behind the Kroger Strip Center has gone down because there's a liquor store there. I don't think anybody has stated that Bonchibo and that whole commercial development right there where Bonchibo is, it has a liquor store right behind Miss Hippie Eats, as well as the liquor store right up south of Mackingville in front of the Hernando Hampton Inn, whatever the hotel is right there, right? I don't know, again, y'all get the complaints, nobody's coming to me to complain, but I don't know that anybody's ever argued that, hey, my house is worth less now because there's a liquor store close by. Again, I believe Hernando has proven it's not more than the Y coming in right behind the liquor store. Liquor store may have come in afterwards, so that may not be correct. But again, yes, theoretically, there is a stigma. I've mentioned this in discussion before.
That's why we have conditional use for it.
Well, no, absolutely, right. And again, I say this, I've fought a fault before over a tattoo place coming into Hernando, right? That was, again, tattoos carry a stigma. They've been in and they've been a wonderful, I say, citizen business of this town that, well, I won't mention anybody, that do a lot for a lot of the people of the city, right? And it has not been an eyesore. It has not carried a stigma, and it certainly has not taken the character of the neighborhood. This is the one over by Colonial Hills down, what is that, Monteith? Whatever, Colonial Hills, right? There's been no character that I'm aware of no character of that neighborhood, right? So yes, theoretically a stigma, in reality, it doesn't show up. So,
all right, Mayor, in full transparency, he talked about the liquor store that's at Highway 51 and West Oak Grove Road. I live in that community, and 99% of the people that lived in that community petitioned that liquor store not come in there because it was first trying to come in on the west side of Oak Grove. And this was before roundabout and everything else. So we were talking about traffic and then adverse effect on the neighborhood. And the planning commission during that time, Chad, when it was presented, it was denied. Then about a month or two later, ABC came into play, and that's when we was handcuffed. And what they did do, instead of putting it on the west side, they put it on the east side then. So I agree with Chad. He might not remember that when the planning commission did that, but
Young buck then, I was a young buck, see?
he aging pretty fast. But so there it is. You know, we represent the peoples, and we're their voice in the community. So we try to make sure of what happened in that community that they are in favor with as much as possible. And that liquor store would not have been there today if it had not been for ABC. And that's what Chad was talking about then. At that time, we had no voice. But now we have an opportunity to put more requirements on them and everything because of a conditional use. And if I read the minutes correctly, and I think I did, I went to Hernando Central High School and graduated back in 1969, so sometimes we can't read too well, but anyway. When I looked at Commissioner Mack made a motion to deny this application by Mr. Gill, who was representing at that time, representing the owner of the property for a conditional use to operate a liquor store at 1500 Highway 51 South. And it was based upon, they did not use any of the other criteria, even though they mentioned the number and stuff like that, but they did not deny it based upon how many liquor stores was in the city. They did not use that caveat for that. But what they did vote on, based upon the finding that the proposal would adversely affect the character of the neighborhood. Now, and I don't know how many drinkers we got in here, and I wouldn't want to take a poll. So some of you drinkers might want it in a out of sight place, so the good diggers and the pastor wouldn't see you when you go get your ball. But I support Commissioner Mack on his decision to go through all the weeds, to waiver through the weeds about 1 and 6, and about that based upon Hernando that they got enough liquor stores that could feed 10,000 or something like that. Man, be drunks everywhere based upon that. But he did not use that. He based upon the character that he felt in his judgment that it would adversely affect. And then I also looked at their answer to that. And he talked about, when he talked about the adverse effect, he talked about, maybe Mr. Gill, whoever talked about, it talked about the proposal, and I ain't gonna read it, but it's in the staff report in 1 through 6. And I just totally disagree, and I had a caveat to disagree, and I still believe that it would adversely affect the character of the neighborhood. And like I said, the only reason that liquor store is now because ABC intervened. And along with Alderman Wicker here, I'm in the point that now we have opportunity, we need to make sure that we use the tools that we've been allowed to use now. So.
If I may address, again, I don't know.
No, I wasn't looking for address. That was my spiel. I want to be transparent. I have opposed liquor store because of adverse effect.
Absolutely, and to address that, y'all get the phone calls, again, I don't, right? But we just opened up, and I'm hoping I'm not gonna regret doing this, right? But we just opened up, anybody in here for or against? There's nobody that showed up to go, please don't put that in. There's not maybe y'all got 3,700 phone calls going, don't. I'm not privy to those, but there's nobody here that's so against this, thinking it's going to change the character of the neighborhood, that they're showing up at the meeting for this approval. Notice was sent out. There was an individual that showed up at the planning commission that was going, hey, we don't want this. But maybe they're going to stand up now because I'm pushing the issue, but there's not a petition, and there's not 50 people opposing. As a matter of fact, there's nobody in the room that showed up to oppose it. And so, again, you're right. You get your thoughts. There is a stigma that runs with it. But I would, again, just pitch the idea that Hernando has proven it does not adversely affect that area. Again, right now there's a vape store sign out there. There could be a vape store. I think we're bettering it, if you want my opinion. I think a liquor store would better it as opposed to the vape. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Alderman Kitchens?
I think a big part of this picture is when you talk about these liquor stores being situated next to residential areas or whatever and not affecting its home value or property values, I think what you have to look at is in the bigger picture. It's kind of like when you have let's say you're selling your house and you've got chipped floor. Well, that chipped floor isn't necessarily going to decrease your home value, but if you've got a chipped floor and torn carpet and this, so all of these little pieces that do have those stigmas, when they add up together, combine to create a lower impression of the city as a whole. And so I think that's what we're really looking for when people, the number of liquor stores as a whole throughout the city, when they work together, they kind of create that lower image. So I think that's why, who was it, Commissioner Max? Who was it that brought that up? How many liquor stores we had per capita or something like that? I think that's the reason that they brought it up. It's not necessarily a market argument. It's a impression. It's that we have this amount of them. Like, how many more are we going to add? And it's the same reason that, we have a conditional use on this in the first place, and the same reason that you talked about vape stores, we're adding a conditional use, talking about adding a conditional use for those as well, because there is, when you have a community, there is a certain, it goes beyond, basic market arguments and basic efficiency arguments, and it goes to, what kind of place do you want to live in, And so I think that's kind of where we come at from there. And even the whole market argument is, because ABC is involved, we don't have like a free market of liquor stores anyway. It's not market-based. The reality is, areas and states that have less restrictive liquor laws tend to actually have fewer liquor stores because they're in grocery stores. Right. Like you go to Louisiana, you're not going to find a lot of them, but here they kind of pepper all over the city because you have to sell them in a package store. But anyway, that's kind of the other side of that.
I totally understand, and not to lawyer up on here, right? But the fine details matter, right? So the criteria are explain how the proposed will not adversely affect the character of the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So that is a neighborhood-specific area. There's a whole nother section that the general welfare of the city, which is what you're getting into, right? So there's a whole business side of things versus the immediate character of that neighborhood.
Right, but that is, yeah.
Well, no, go ahead.
But that is pretty broad, right? And so you say the general character of the neighborhood, yeah, it can have a contributing value. It's not to say, my point was to say that it may not plummet property values, but it does have a generally negative impact on the neighborhood.
But again,
which aggregates, which can aggregate
doesn't.
with other things to actually have an economic impact. So, and who knows, it may have, each thing's individual, each case is individual.
Right.
And so, you can't really, it's difficult to make the argument with the sample size of 5 that, first of all, it's hard to measure the impact, the economic impact, but it's with the sample size of 5, it's difficult to say, these haven't, therefore others won't, because it's not a very large sample size. But that's why the conditional use exists, so that we can make the determination, which is in this instance it does. So.
Right. Yeah, I would. That's why we're here. And again, not going back and forth. My job is to convince you it doesn't, right? That's what I'm here for. And again, I'm repeating myself, but again, I just would push. If it's 5 or whatever the number is, Hernando has proven that it doesn't. Again, we have a YMCA backed up to one, a children's clinic that's across the street from the YMCA that backs up to one. We have our city park that we have just done wonderful improvements to, right next to one. So again, just from the general negative stigma, it doesn't play out in everyday life. I get it in mindsets, but in everyday life, Hernando itself has shown that it doesn't.
I think that's in spite of, not because of. Like, we need to be really clear on that. In spite of it being forced upon Hernando to open those because of ABC.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll give that. Absolutely. And so we have an opportunity, and I think actually point 6 on how it'll conform with the city's general developmental plan is the one, that one along with how it'll adversely affect the character of the neighborhood. Those are the 2 that stood out to me as I read through this. So, but I hear what you're saying, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, the development plan, getting back to the simple things. This is Highway 51. It is a C2 piece of property. We put a gas station in and a convenience store in. That development plan, it is a it's a highway. You know, it is not a residential. Now, this sits on the corner of a residential, but it is a very commercial corridor right there with other businesses that are right there. So, sitting empty versus getting some activity there is part of Hernando's development scheme. You know, I mean, that's the whole point, right? We're growing. Y'all are doing a wonderful job growing the city. As a matter of fact, it's becoming a problem because we're growing so well, right? So, anyway.
Everybody feel like they're finished with discussion? Okay. Thank you for the presentation. Is there a motion from this board?
Make a motion, Tom.
I'm ready.
I make a motion to deny this conditional use, 1500 Highway 51 for a liquor store based on the findings of the Planning Commission. Number of, for the proximity to residential areas and adverse effect to the neighborhood there.
There is a motion. Is there a second to the motion? There's a second. We'll have a roll call vote.
Alderman McClendon?
Aye.
Alderwoman Lynch?
Aye.
Alderman Miller?
Aye.
Alderman Robinson?
Aye.
Alderman Wicker?
Aye.
Alderman Kitchen?
Aye.
And the motion to deny passes.
And just for clarification on the minutes, that was upholding the decision of the Planning Commission.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Item 12 is the public hearing for zoning ordinance and design regulation amendments. Could you present those to us, Mr. Cardosi?
Yes, sir. These are the ordinance updates we briefly discussed at the last meeting, and the ordinance committee's been hard at work on to get them in front of you here tonight. We did advertise this hearing in the paper 15 days prior, as required by state law. And generally, I'll go over these quickly, but this is right-sizing a lot of the things in the zoning ordinance that were tweaked or kind of popped up and we didn't have a definition for. And I'll kind of go through them. So anything to do with a data center, we did not have a definition for, so we created definitions for data centers and all the accessory uses and proposed to put those as a conditional use in the industrial district. Additionally, we've created a definition of a head shop, a vape shop, or smoking accessory store, and made that a conditional use in the commercial districts within the city. The cannabis-related facilities previously were permitted by right within the commercial districts. We've proposed to make those conditional uses. We changed the definition, the placement of mini storages from commercial districts to industrial districts by conditional use. The committee's proposed to move some of the older definitions within the C2 district, such as retail service truck route center and aluminum can collection center, which we don't have any of, but they were permitted uses. The committee recommended to move those conditional uses. The previous ordinance establishing accessory dwelling units did not include them in the agricultural district, only in the agricultural residential district. So the proposal was to insert that also in the ag district. I think that was more of a typo. We discussed utility substations and proposed to remove it from the ag district and make it a conditional use. The signage changes we mentioned at the last meeting concerning neon signage and signage within commercial districts for flags on the weekends for businesses is proposed to be changed. So neon signage will be limited to 2.5 square feet within a window of a commercial building. And then within the design regulations, we've clarified kind of what the expectation was previously, but the primary material on a building is clarified to say brick, board and batten, wood siding, or similar materials, or a clear glass wall, if it's more than 10% of the overall building facade. And that's been the enforcement of the department. We're just codifying that to clear it up of what it means. And then the secondary materials, EFIS, split face block, and other similar materials are required to be less than 10%. And as I mentioned, I did advertise this as a public hearing and talked to Stephen this week, going over this ordinance in front of you tonight. And if approved tonight, it'll be in effect within 30 days. So 30 days from tonight is when the effective date for this will be. And so that's when all these definitions will be changed physically in the rule book. I'm available if you got any questions.
Before the board asks questions, this is a public hearing. If there is anyone here to speak for or against this topic, please come forward. Okay, hearing none, I'll take comments from the Board of Aldermen.
I think the ordinance committee has kind of worked this through pretty well, and I think it's ready to be finalized, so.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Just looks like a lot of thought went into it.
Thank you to the committee and to Austin and our attorney for helping with this. Is there a motion on the item?
Motion to approve?
Second.
A motion and a second. We'll have a roll call vote.
Alderman Robinson.
Aye.
Alderman Wicker.
Aye.
Alderman Kitchens.
Aye.
Alderman McLendon.
Aye.
Alderwoman Lynch.
Aye.
Alderman Miller.
That motion passes. Can I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Exactly an hour.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are now adjourned. Thank y'all for a great meeting.